right, OLR exclusive fans, we are on the line with Ramona Milano. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very, very good.
Good.
All right, so my first question is, how and when did you get your start in the entertainment business?
So, I guess technically it started right after I graduated from high school. I was 17. I went to the Etobicoke School of the Arts, and I had auditioned that winter before graduating for Canada's Wonderland, and I had gotten in, and I was the youngest one working there as a singer-dancer. And so technically that was my first contract. I remember, I still have a copy of that contract. I think I was making $3.15 an hour, something like that, 3.55 or 3.15, something like that, to do 5 or 6 shows a day, 6 days a week, 5 days a week, and loved it. Loved every minute of it. Felt like I had made it, and that's where it started. And then from there, I went to college and I went for theater. And then I think at 19, I ended up getting my first agent and started going on auditions. And I was taking a ton of on-camera classes and audition technique classes in and around Toronto. And I was taking vocal lessons and just continuing on with my studies. And then I think my first professional job outside of Wonderland, well, I had my first on-camera TV job was for a show. What year was that? Maybe that was 91. It was a show that was filming in Toronto at the time called Top Cops. And it was kind of like, you know, those stories where they like reenact real situations that happen to people, like detective stories, like that sort of thing, police stories. It was one of those. So it was one of those shows. So I had gotten a part, and it was on CBS. So it was very exciting. And the whole family gathered round in my parents' home that I grew up in Nobleton, and we all sat there and watched my episode of Top Cops the night that it aired. And then I ended up touring overseas, working for a company, singing and dancing for the Canadian Armed Forces,
Oh, wow.
United Nations. Yeah, that was really cool. Got to travel. It was really fun. And what did I do from there? And then I did the cruise ship. That's right. Then I came back home, and then I auditioned some more, and then I found out about auditions that were taking place for Holland America. And I got it, and I was traveling for 6 months, singing and dancing on Holland America Cruise Line. And that was great, man. That was all in my late teens and early 20s. So it was like really, really good time in my life where I had no responsibilities to anybody other than myself, and I was just starting out in the industry, and very different time in Toronto at that time as well with the entertainment industry and opportunities. So, yeah, it was cool. It was good.
Oh, wow.
Good memories.
Oh, yeah. And a very good start to your career.
Yeah. Cool. It was fun. Like, it was actually fun. You know, I hear a lot of these kids that are coming out of theater school today, they are stressed, they are anxious, they are neurotic. I didn't have any of that. I don't know if it was like just like grand illusions or like my own deluded sense of sort of what to expect. I don't know. But we didn't have any of that, you know. Like, there's a lot of people that were still in the industry, and we recount our time when we were starting out at that time, and everybody was hopeful. Everybody was like happy and hopeful, and you know, yeah, you went through some stressful moments, but I would say overall it was hopeful. It was a time of real exploration and fun and discovery and growth and hope, and it was great. It was a really good time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, as you've mentioned, like, you are an actress, you sing, dance, you're also a director and a producer. Can you tell us what made you want to start directing and producing your own projects?
Yeah, I think direction is a really natural, linear move for a lot of actors, just because the more time you spend on set, that just becomes it just becomes a natural muscle that gets worked out, right? And I've taught a lot. I had my own school, and I was teaching kids and teens and young adults, and I still am going into schools and working with youth. So I think from that experience, it just naturally made me want to do a deeper exploration into the art of direction. The art of directing, I guess. Art direction is a totally different thing. And the art of directing, and so I was doing that, and I really enjoyed it. I just found that here's the thing with me: I have spent over 3 decades, trying to work as a self-employed actor, and it's a very difficult job, right? Like, it's in terms of the job itself is not. I would say as difficult as, oh, sorry, 1 second. Hey, Fab, that lady's here, sweetie. Oh, yeah. Sorry. We can edit this out, right? Okay. Anyways, sorry for the interruption. Yeah, so I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry, I just totally distracted myself.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry, we were with the direction. That's just a natural muscle that I think you flex when you start teaching, and when you start, as I say, when you've been on set for many years. It's just a natural way to gravitate towards. And so that is something that I wanted to do. And I started to do at a studio in Toronto, working with actors in workshops and directing project pilots. And I had a great time doing it. That was just a few years ago. And I had a really, really great time collaborating with the people that I was working with. But I've spent my life as a self-employed actor, and it's a very difficult way to live your life, just because there's no security, and you just don't know what's coming around the corner. And there is an element of that is also exciting. But when you are responsible to someone other than yourself, and you have a family, and you've got bills to pay, and you know the whole spiel, it's very it's challenging. It's just challenging to sort of live that way and feel fulfilled and check off all the boxes in all the areas of life. So I found that directing was just more of that. And I think that if I really, really had a passion for directing the way that I did for acting when I was young, and I knew that I wanted to become an actor despite its pitfalls, I think I would have really gone for it and said, this is it. I want to officially make this move from an actor to a director, and I really want to lean in, and I want to dive in, head first, and just and do as much as I can, and network, and go to as many classes as I can, and sacrifice my time to learn everything I can learn, and roll up my sleeves. And I really would, because that's my nature, is to do that. But I guess I started it at a point in my life where I was like, man, I want to do less of this. So it's just a lifestyle choice for me, where I love the art of directing. I think it is exercising a different muscle than the art of acting. In a sense, it's under the same umbrella. Excuse me. But it is different, and I do like it. Like, I love it, but the lifestyle is just really hard for me. Excuse me, to take that on full throttle, because I've already done it. I've dedicated my life to having that kind of a lifestyle and being an actor, and it's very challenging, especially when, as I say, you're balancing everything else, right? I am married 25 years. I'm not divorced. I don't have, I decided to have children. I didn't have one child. I have 2 children. We have a home. We have, the responsibilities here. So, sorry, are you still there? Did you get cut off?
Oh, no, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, you're there. Okay, sorry. There was another car trying to come through. Sorry, there was another call trying to come through. I thought it maybe accidentally got us cut off. So yeah, things change, right? Your perspective changes when you're young and you haven't made those choices yet. I think it's really easy, or it's easier anyway, to say, I'm gonna do this no matter what it takes, and I'm gonna commit to it, and I want to dedicate my life to this. And I did do that. But then I think when you make other choices, and those choices don't just involve your outcome, and they involve other people, your perspectives change. Your perspective changes, especially as you age. I just think that's a natural thing in life, where the way you feel at 40 is not the way you felt at 20, right? So that was something for me where I really did enjoy my experience with directing. And if I ever got an opportunity to grab the wheel and do it again, I would for sure. But I don't think I love it enough to put into it what it requires to be successful, as a standalone director. I think I'm really glad that I tried it and that I did it, and that one of the projects that I did direct actually did receive an award from the LA Global Shorts Awards. So that was really cool for me. That was a pretty cool achievement, especially seeing that I was kind of new at it. So that was really interesting. But I don't think that it's something I am willing to pursue, like I said, the way in which I dedicated to acting. Producing, I really did that a couple of times. And that was not, and again, that was within the context of this particular studio that I was working with. And that's all that was. That's not something that I have any interest whatsoever. I don't have corporate interest at all. So I don't want to get into that in any other capacity. That totally was because of what the project that I was already involved with. So that's all that was. I'm sorry, that was a really lengthy answer to a simple question. I apologize.
Oh, no, that's okay. It was interesting to hear, because you're very true on that. Like, depending on where you are in your life, that you have a list of things that you want to try, but you're never going to know if it's really what you want to do until you just jump in and do it.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of things sound like a great idea and are really great on paper, or really make sense because, like I said, that is a really natural linear move for a lot of actors to make. So it seems logical, and you go, well, yeah, of course, I would do this instead of this. It's kind of under the same umbrella. It's the same sort of industry, and it is. All of those things are absolutely true. But because of how I'm also evolving as a human being, as a woman, it's not something I want. I don't want to continue this kind of lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've had a lot of struggle. I will tell you, I've had a lot of struggle, inner turmoil with the lifestyle of an actor. There's a lot in me. I have a real duality in my personality. There's a lot of me, a big part of me that loves the not knowing, that loves the excitement, that loves not having the monotony of day to day, 9 to 5. And I've had to do that. I have had those jobs. And every time I do those kind of jobs, I go, wow, I don't know how people can do this every day. And no judgment on people who do, because everybody's different and you got to do what suits you. It just didn't suit me. And I thought, wow, I don't think I could do this. And then it's funny, when I do acting, I get really irritated by the lifestyle. I get really frustrated and irritated by it. So I think that, I'm at a point in my life now, I would say the last couple of years, I have really figured out my place in all of that. you know, so I'm really, and it's funny, right? Like, you think at this age that you're going to have it all worked out and all figured out, and you don't. And that's, I guess, one of the exciting things about life is that it's never boring, right? Like, you're always exploring and discovering and growing and figuring shit out as you go. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
That is so true.
Yeah.
So the next couple of questions are from what I know you best from, which was
okay.
a show dear to my heart that I grew up watching with my parents.
Yeah.
You played Francesca Vecchio on
Yeah.
the Canadian show Due South. How
Yeah.
did you land that role, and what was your favorite part about working on that set?
I had a regular audition, and I remember reading it was for the pilot, and it was when they were having the big chaotic family dinner, and I wanted it to be as natural as possible, and so I went in, and I'm sorry, I've told the story so many times, so I'm sorry if this is repetitive to your listeners, but I went in with a jar of peanut butter, and I just had my lines, which are called sides. I had my sides on my lap, and I just was like sticking my finger in the jar of peanut butter and eating it, and like keeping myself distracted with the action of eating food, so that it came off as natural as possible, and also the mouthfeel and sound of, you know, food in my mouth and eating with my mouth full, because Francesca would so do that. And so, and so that I remember the part I was amazed about the most was that I didn't have a recall. And I remember at that time, I was doing a lot of commercial auditions, and I couldn't believe how ridiculous the process of commercial auditions were, and that I was being called back once, twice, 3 times for a commercial. And like, sometimes the commercials, you weren't even talking, for God's sake, right? Like, you just had to be there and whatever, I don't know, give a look to camera, or turn your head, or walk in a certain way, whatever. And I couldn't believe that this recurring role on a CBS series that was going to air like internationally, I had one audition for, and they hired me right away. And I found out very quickly after that audition that I got the part. When I initially got the part, it was just for the pilot. And then I ended up finding out that they wanted to keep me on as a recurring role. And then I ended up becoming a regular role for the final season. So it was a great experience. My favorite part, is that what you asked me? My favorite part about working on the show?
Yes.
I would say it was just the camaraderie. We all got along really well. It was a great place to go to work. I loved my character. So, and I've told this story before too. You have to remember, at this time, it was like 1993, 1994. And there were not a lot of great female characters on television at the time, like funny. There were not. The only one was Elaine Bennis on Seinfeld. And Friends actually aired the night that Due South aired. We both aired on the same evening. I remember that, because I remember being concerned about that. Because I remember seeing the commercials for Friends. And I remember thinking, oh man, this looks like a good show. This is going to be in the same time slot as when we air. This is not good. I remember being really weirded out by that. And I expressed my concern to Paul, and I remember him going, "Oh no, don't worry about it. It's no big deal." And I was like, I don't know. This is like a really good show. Anyways, there was no good. I don't say good, but there was no like 3-dimensional sort of funny female characters that were dominating the screen, small screen at that time. There really weren't. So I was thrilled to breathe into this role, because it was a great role, and I loved it. And I loved playing Francesca, and I loved the writing for it, and it was fun, man. It was always fun. We had such a good time on set. We always had a good time. I have very, very positive memories of my experience on that show.
Oh, I remember, like, I know when I was watching it, seeing, like, your character and then Paul as Frasier, and just being like, come on, like, just put Francesca and Frasier together? Like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously there's a part where you go, oh, come on, man, because you like them both, right? So they were both likable characters, so you wanted to see them get together, and you felt sorry for Fran because you just knew that she loved him so much, right? Like she just wanted him to, and so I think that became more of like a pledge on every other person's part out there in the world who's like never felt that they were in the same league of the person that they wanted to land, and so everybody was rooting for her, right? Going, yes, come on, Frasier, because they sort of saw themselves in Francesca, so to speak, right? So, yeah, there is definitely that element of it, but I'm glad that they never ended up together because I think that would have been jumping the shark a little bit. So I really like that they didn't do that. I really love that it was a constant mission for her, so it was fun. It was always fun. I had a great time.
oh yeah, because you also had Ray on the other side being like, if anything happens between you and my sister, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there was a whole traditional family dynamic, which she was very much a part of, but then Francesca also had her own agenda, right? Like she was wild. She was funny. She just lived her life her way, and that was a great thing about her that I think so many people, I think the reason so many people loved Francesca so much is because she never had harmful intent, ever.
Oh, no.
She did a lot of things wrong, but they were earnest. They came from a place of good intentions, right? She thought she was doing her best, and she meant well, and so and she was funny. So and it was great. Like it was just great. It was a joy to have that responsibility, to be that role, and just like I said, breathe life into her. And it was fun. We just had a great time on set. I would say that was my favorite part, was the liberation of having that kind of a female role, and also and the camaraderie on set. Like we had a really good time together.
Oh, nice. It's awesome to be able to work with people that you can be that close with.
Yeah, it was fun. It was. I never dreaded going into work. I was never like, oh, God, I can't wait for this to be over. There was never that feeling, never. It was always fun. Like, and I'm talking everybody, like the crew, the cast, like everybody. We all got along. It was fun. It was a very positive experience for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
So in 97 and 99, you were nominated twice by the Gemini Awards for Best Performance by an Actress in a Featured Supporting Role in a Dramatic Series for playing Francesca Vecchio. How does it feel to have been nominated for those awards?
Great, but in Canada it really means nothing. We don't have a star system here, so you get nominated, and that's cool, right? Like it's a self pride thing. It's an achievement thing, and that's awesome. Good for me. Good job, Mona. And you pat yourself on the shoulder and you move on, because the way it works here is you're back on it's like a factory, right? You use your little ticket, you come in, you punch in, and you start the day. And then when you're done, you punch out. And the next day, you come back in and you punch in again. That's what it's like here. So when I was done with that, you would think that would have opened a lot of doors for me, but that's not the way it worked. It was like, okay, cool. Next factory job. Like I was back to the beginning of punching in again. And also, to be fair, I was very pregnant when we wrapped, right? So we wrapped in March, I think it was, and my son was born in May. Like 2 months later, I popped him out. So I was very, very pregnant. And, then everything changed, right, after I had kids. Like, things changed. So I wasn't willing to probably chase after things the way in which might have been required for me to do that in order to have really capitalized on those, the status of those awards. And you know what? At the end of the day, it may have done nothing either. I don't know. I did do a few things. I did have a publicist. I did try to kind of capitalize on it a little bit, but I really wasn't willing to give it everything, because when you do that, something's got to give, right? Whatever you give 100% of is what you're breathing your energy into. So that's what you're giving 100% of. And that means that something else is going to take a bit of a hit. And I just, after my son was born, I was like, oh, okay, well, hang on a second. My son's not going to come last. My family's coming first, and then everything else is going to have to take a back seat here. So that's just sort of how I reshifted and rearranged my life after that. And then, of course, my second born came 4 years later in 2002. And going back to the beginning of this conversation, right? Like, things changed. Perspectives and goals changed for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So you appeared in numerous commercials, as you had stated before earlier. You were in Rogers commercials, Cooperators, which I remember seeing you in those ones.
Oh, yeah.
What was that experience like, being in those?
So, I once heard somebody describe commercials in the best way possible, which was, they said, doing commercials as an actor is total prostitution. It's just for the money. There is no artistic value in it whatsoever, and that is 1,000% true. So the Rogers commercials, I was micromanaged, like literally, like I would be holding some digital device, a tablet, whatever. And so literally I was getting direction like, can you tilt it downward to the left? Okay. Can you go up a half an inch? Okay. Split the difference. Great. Hold it right there. Okay. Can you tilt your head to the right a bit? That's what I was doing. There is no artistic satisfaction in that or fulfillment whatsoever. But you know that going in, right? It's a business. So what I got from that was money. Like, when I landed that Rogers campaign, what was it like, you asked? It was amazing in terms of what my family got, because that was like winning the lottery. It got us out of debt. It paid off a bunch of bills. I was able to buy a car. We went on a few trips. Like, we put our RSPs aside for my kid, or donated to their RSPs. There was a lot of stuff we were able to do that I was not able to do prior to that. So that's what that brought, which was fantastic. Aside from that, there's really no other game. And it certainly doesn't help you with anything in the industry, right? It's not like, oh, Ramona's working a lot, she's on all these. It does nothing. What it does is people stop you in shopping malls or wherever and go, hey, you're on the Rogers commercial. Yeah. Oh my God, you're on Degrassi. Yeah. Oh my God. That's all it does. It really didn't do anything in terms of elevating my career. Again, back to the factory comparison. That's what happened, right? I finished one job, you're back at it, back to the beginning of the line with your cards, ready to punch in again and start all over, right?
Yeah.
So but it was, financially, my family totally gained from it. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really. It was more of just a quick job.
Well, commercials are always quick. Yeah, the Rogers one wasn't. That was a couple of years. I was really lucky with that because I had signed on as the Rogers mom, as part of the campaign for the Rogers campaign. They wanted to hire a family, so I was the mom of the family. So yeah, I did a ton of Rogers commercials within that time period. I forget what it was. I don't even know how many commercials I did. I did a ton. I did voiceovers. I did commercials that aired in certain parts of Canada that didn't air in Southern Ontario. I did a bunch. So that was a really good time in our life, my personal family life, for what that brought us financially. But I wasn't artistically fulfilled at all. At all. And I'll be honest with you, the only thing that artistically fulfills me at this stage of my life is theater. I've been doing theater for the last couple of years and really, really working towards that. And I love it. And that is one thing I really miss. And I think that's also nostalgically as well. I think it's bringing me back to a time where things were simpler, I think, in life and in this industry and in the GTA. Like, it just was a time that I remember being simpler and more gratifying, you know? So there's probably that psychological, emotional element as well. But artistically, I just love it. I'm so glad that I'm back in touch with those roots and that I'm doing theater again.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, like, as you had mentioned, you teach, you direct, you tutor other acting students in your studios. You might have already answered this, but what made you decide to want to start teaching other, up and coming actors?
Yeah, so it started off as a total fluke. My son, my firstborn, was 2 years old. I wasn't working, and it had been a couple of years since Due South had ended. I wasn't landing anything at that time, and we were hurting for money. And I was like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? I can't get a part-time job because I'm home with Mitch all day long, and I'm watching Mitch, and I gotta do something. I gotta figure something out." And there was a friend of mine who I worked with on the cruise ship, actually, amazing singer, and he got in touch with me and said, "Hey, there's a woman that I know who lives in Bolton, where I used to live." And he said, she's a singer, and she just opened a school for kids. And she's looking for an acting coach. She's looking for an acting teacher. And I told her about you. You guys should meet. So that's how it started. I literally went to someone to just get like a part-time job just because I needed money at the time. And I was so nervous about it. And I said to her, "I don't have any teaching qualifications. I don't have any teaching experience whatsoever." She said, "I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for someone who's been in the industry and who has experience and who can pass on the torch and like can share your knowledge and wealth of information to younger kids." And I was like, "Okay, like I'll give it a try." And that's literally how it started. And I ended up, it's always serendipitous like this, where you do something, you kind of fall into something, or not even really be in search of something, and that's where you end up finding your heart and soul, right? So I discovered how much I loved teaching and how much I loved working with kids of all ages, but the older kids particularly, like the teens that I was working with, I really developed a phenomenal relationship with. And funny, a lot of those teens that I ended up, so sorry, let me just cut forward a bit here. So I started with her, and then I ended up going off on my own. And then that's how I started teaching on my own. So I ended up having my own studio that I built in my former home in Bolton. And then I ended up collaborating with another actor and Vaughn, and then I ended up selling my part of the business to him, and he's now carried on, and he's running the school on his own now, which I don't have anything to do with. And that's when I did that because I started directing. I was approached by a friend of mine who ran a workshop in Toronto, and then that's when I started directing workshops for project pilots with professional actors. So this is when all of this sort of came about at the same time. It was all within a matter of, I don't even know, like 5 to 8 years. And so, and that's how it started. And from there was my passion that was born for teaching kids. And I love it. And I just love it. Like, I love it. It's something that I am still doing now. I just don't own my own studio anymore. I don't have my own acting classes. I was working for a couple of other places in the Burlington area. But since then, I am now just working with the school boards, and I'm going into the schools and doing my own workshops with kids through the school board. So, and I just love it. I love it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is awesome because it's so much more than just acting, right? Like you're having fun with the acting and the improv, and they're learning skills that they don't even realize they're learning. But what it's more about for me is also you're giving them tools for life, because this is about improving a mindset, right? And about your inner growth, and about your self-esteem, and about it's so much more. It's so much more. So so because of that, again, another interest was born, and I started taking life skills coaching at George Brown. And so now I'm kind of combining the two, right? So I'm doing like life skills integrated through the art of acting. And I'm doing that and going into the workshops and working with kids and stuff of all ages. So it's really birthed this whole new career, I guess, and passion for me that stems from acting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I'm just gonna jump back a little bit. I accidentally
Sure.
But I have to ask about Flashpoint.
Oh, yeah.
It's a show that my husband got me into watching, which I'm not sure why I hadn't watched it before, seeing that it's Canadian, but he got me into watching it. We were watching an episode where you played Valerie Sebastin, I believe her name was.
Sebastian. Yeah.
And I just wanted to know.
Or Sabiston, yeah. Probably Sabiston, I think it was, yeah.
I was just wondering, like, how did you land that role, and what was it like on set? I had seen pictures of you, I think it was like an award show or something, where you were with Enrico, so I wasn't sure if he had helped you, like, if he was maybe a part of helping you get the part, or...
No, that was the first time I met him, actually, was on set. I didn't know him prior to that. I just auditioned like anything else. No one's helped me get anything. Like, just so you know, I don't have anybody helping me with anything. I just audition. I have an agent, and it's always the same thing for me. It's just auditioning. So, I met him on set, and what was it like? It was freezing cold. That's all I remember. It was years ago. It was over 10 years ago. And I just remember it was like, I don't even know, January or February. Can't remember. And it was minus 1,000, and it was freezing cold. That's all I remember. That's it. I have no other memory of it. Like, other than there was, it was a job like anything else. It wasn't extraordinary one way or the other. It was just one day of shooting, but it was so damn cold. That's what I remember.
Oh yeah, it can get pretty cold here sometimes in Canada.
Oh gosh, I was born and raised here, and I'll never be used to it ever. When I complain about the weather, people go, "Oh my God, you were born here. You're Canadian." Okay, and I'm like, doesn't matter. My DNA is not from here, man. I will never be used to it. Never. Yeah, winter's not for me.
Oh, that's so true. I'm the same way.
Yeah, right. I don't know a lot of women who like the cold. Most women I meet are like, ugh, like they could be anywhere other than where it's cold. That's for sure.
That's true. And you had also mentioned that you had worked on Degrassi, where you played Audra Torres. How did you land that role? It was an audition?
Yeah, just an audition, and I had no idea that it was for a recurring role. I thought it was just a one-time thing. I thought it was one episode. And I went to shoot the episode, and the director came up to me and he's like, so I'm thinking that, when you come back and you do the next, and I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean when I come back? I had no idea. And he's like, oh, yeah, because you got the role of the mom. So I'm like, yeah, well, these are new characters, like Drew and oh my God, I just forgot their names. Drew and Adam. He's like, Drew and Adam, yeah, they're new characters. Like, honey, this is like the next 4 years. High school, man. Like, they got 4 more. And I was floored. I was just sitting there going, what? Because I remember laughing and bitching about the fact that I had never done an episode of Degrassi. I was like, I cannot believe I'm Canadian, and I've been in this industry for as long as I've been in this industry, and I have never, ever landed an episode of Degrassi. And this is when it used to be on CBC too. And then I couldn't believe it. I finally landed an episode of Degrassi, and it was my own little personal hurrah and achievement inside. I was like, woohoo, yay, I did it, I conquered it. And then I couldn't believe when I was on set that not only did I land it, but I landed a role that was coming back for 4 years, 5 years, 5 seasons. I had no idea. So that was really cool. And I had a great time working there as well. One thing I dug about Degrassi, man, they were a well-oiled machine. They knew exactly how to do it. They ensured that everything went the way it was supposed to go. They were never behind schedule. Everything was like a fine-tuned machine, man. You were done every night at 7:30, wrapped, done. Everybody went home, had time with their families before you had to go. And that's obviously because it was, a show with students, right? Like with kids and teens and whatever. So they ensured that. But man, did I dig that. That was awesome. I really, really appreciated that. As a mom, I really appreciated that. And especially because I live so far away. The studio was, oh my God, I can't even remember where it was. It was off the DVP there at Eglinton and, I can't remember the intersection. Anyway, and I lived in Bolton. So it would take me forever to get to and from. So the fact that I was wrapped at 7:30, guaranteed, that was amazing. So in terms of scheduling, phenomenal. And the people I worked with were great. Like I never, ever, ever had a negative issue there. Never, ever, ever. Everybody was professional, was courteous, was positive. I never dealt with anybody's egos. Like it was great, man. And the kids that played my kids, well, they're not kids anymore, but Jordy and Luke, they were phenomenal actors, fantastic attitudes, great people, hard workers. Like I don't have enough good things to say about them. And Luke was so wonderful. I've worked with him a couple of other times since then, and he's a great person, great family. He's got a great family. So yeah, it was a really good experience. That's the thing about my career, right? I never went on to become an A-lister Hollywood star. I have a very modest career. I have a very modest life. But what I love about my career, I can honestly tell you, I really have had amazing experiences. Like I've worked with really good people. It's all been on my terms. I don't do anything I don't want to do. And I was able to raise my family and continue on with this crazy lifestyle and not make compromises and not compromise my values. Nothing. I didn't get divorced in the process. I didn't lose anything to keep this afloat. You know what I mean? Like I've been really, really lucky. And I'm really, really grateful for that because this is a hard business at the best of times. So I'm really happy that I can sit here and talk to you and recount certain times of my life or incidences where they're positive. Like I really have positive things to say about the projects that I've been a part of. And that in and of itself, as an actor, that's amazing.
And that, like you said, like that's the best way to have it, where you're controlling what you do.
It's not the best way. It's the only way.
Yeah.
True. It's the only way to live your life, right? Like, and if you're going to have a family too, that's the thing. Like, you got to make a decision from the get-go. Like, I have friends. It's so funny. I was just having this conversation with my son the other day. I have friends in Toronto who have made the decision and responsibly, and I kudos to them because I think it's amazing that they recognize this and acknowledged it and they honor it. You make the decision to do this full throttle and say, you know what? This has been my lifelong dream to be an actor. I want to be an actor. I'm going to give it everything I've got, which means I'm not going to get married and I'm not going to have kids. And they don't. And they live their lives accordingly. And you know what? All the more power to you, man, because you don't need to bring children into this world who aren't really wanted if you really want to put your focus elsewhere, right? Nobody needs that. And I think that's amazing of them to acknowledge that and to honor that and respect that. And my hat's off to them. I wanted it all. I didn't want to make exceptions. I said, nope, I want to be an actor, and I want to be a working actor, and I want to be happily married to my soulmate. I am not settling and just marrying someone because I just want to get married. And I am going to have kids, and I'm not having one. I'm having more than one because I want them to have a sibling, because I had a sibling growing up, and I had an amazing experience with my sibling, and I couldn't imagine my life without my sibling. And those were my values. And I was like, no, this is on my terms, man. I do things the way I want to do it. And if I can't take on a job because it means that my family's going to sacrifice, then I can't take on a job. Oh, well. Like, it's just the way it is, right? So, and believe me, there's a lot of struggle within that, right? To keep that afloat and to keep it, and to make peace with that, I think. Because I think for years I did not have peace with that. And I still struggle with the lifestyle. I do still struggle with the lifestyle, but I'm getting better at it because I've made other choices, and those choices are working out for me. But it's tough, man. It's a tough industry, but I'm really glad that I have positivity when I look back and I recount those times. That's nice. That's nice that I can think of it in those terms. You know what I mean? And I'm not putting any sort of slant on it or remembering it in a way that I want to remember it, even though it wasn't that way. I'm not embellishing anything. That's really how it was. Like, that was my experience on Degrassi. That was my experience on Due South. You know, like, it's exactly the way I've described it to you.
Nice. That's such an awesome outlook that you have as well.
Thank you. You know, I try. I try. It's an effort. It's an effort for sure. And I talk a lot of things out, and I've got, you know, a very supportive partner, and we're best friends, and we talk about everything all the time. And, you know, we get each other through the tough times, right? So, yeah, we try.
So in 2015, you were part of a biographical film called Full Out. Can you tell us a bit about that film?
Yeah, that was another amazing experience. Worked with Sean Cisterna, who was our director. He was phenomenal. I loved his vision. I loved his energy. I loved his calmness. He was a great guy, very talented man. Anna Goya, who I knew from Degrassi, but I had never had any scenes with her. She played my daughter. She was the lead who played the story about Ariana Berlin, and I was her mom, Susan Berlin. She was phenomenal. Anna and I, from that experience, became lifelong friends, and we still keep in touch, and we've recommended each other for other projects. We are possibly working together again on another project that I really can't disclose at this time. But she's amazing. And we laughed every day, every day. The crew was phenomenal. We had a great experience. It was excellent. And I love meeting Ariana and Susan, the woman that I played, Ariana's mom. The family was on set, and we met them many times, and it was fantastic. It was a great experience. I loved it.
Oh, nice. That's awesome that you got to meet the people that you were portraying as well.
Oh, yeah. It was really cool. And you know what else was cool about that experience, too? So one of the women that I met, why did I meet her again? Oh, yeah. We were shooting at one of the locations was the Oakville Gymnastics Club. And she was a coach. She was a gymnastics coach. And she was a very lively woman, this woman, Susie. And she came around and she introduced herself to us and she met us. And we started talking and we developed this relationship. Come to find that her and one of the other, Susie and one of the other coaches, they bred dogs on the side. And she showed me pictures. But oh my God, look at it. We just had puppies that were just born. Look at these. And I saw it and I said, oh my God, if I show that picture to my kids, they will freak because they've been asking me for a dog for the longest time. She said, well, I'm just going to tell you, we just sold one and they were just born, or not just born, ready to leave, right? To leave the mom. And she said, we just sold one and there's 3 more left. I said, that's okay. I'm in no rush. No. Like, what's meant to be will be. I'm not going to push it. No. I said, listen, I can't even get out there to see them until the end of the week. And they'll probably be all sold by then. She said, well, I'll keep you posted. So every day she would come and she would give me an update. Oh, another one's gone. Oh, we just sold 2 more. Oh, we got 1 left. We have 1 left. I was okay, well, you have 1 left. So when we're there on Sunday, if you still have 1 left, we'll pass by, we'll have a look. And if you don't, then it wasn't meant to be. And I took it real. I did not want to fall in love. I did not want to meet this dog. There was a part of me that was hoping she was going to sell it. And of course, she had this dog left over. And he was the runt of the litter. Beautiful, tiny little Yorkshire Terrier. So he became our puppy. So her and I became friends, and we still keep in touch. And then her daughter, she told me her daughter was a producer who was starting out at that time, who was looking to become a producer, and she had started her own production company. And so then I met her daughter, and then we became friends. So it was really cool. Like, there were a lot of networking opportunities that came from that job, as they do from a lot of jobs when you just, sit and talk and meet people. So, and whether they're networking in terms of business opportunities or in terms of personal friendships, right? Or both. So that was really, really cool. So, so there are a lot of great things that came out of that opportunity as well, including our family puppy, who is no longer with us anymore. He actually had a freak accident when he was 11 months old, and we had to put him down, which was devastating. But because I was friends with Susie, she let me know when they were having another litter, and then we went to go pick out another Yorkie a couple of years later, and so he's the brother. He's the little brother of our original Yorkie, and he's our dog now, and we're all like in love with him. He's like the light of our home, of our family. He's like he's the baby of the family, right? He is so spoiled, and we all like adore him to death. So again, that all came out of Full Out, with my experience with Full Out. So it goes beyond just what you see on screen. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's really cool.
I just have a couple more questions, Ramona.
Sure.
So you directed, like you said, the short comedy called Pandora's Box, which was a 2016 Global Shorts winner. How does it feel to have worked on that project and know that it won that award?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, that's not something I'm ever thinking about. I'm never, ever in the mindset, and I don't think most actors are. Like, I don't think you ever go into a mindset of like, ooh, if I do really well with this will get submitted, and then I can be up for an award. And then, like, nobody thinks like that. You're just trying to do the best you can do in the moment. And so that was my only position at that time. That was my only mindset. Excuse me, at that time, was just to go in and do the best I could do and have fun and learn and the fact that it got nominated for an award and then won, like that was pretty cool. So again, it has nothing to do with elevating my career and moving it to. It was not used as leverage to go to another, to move forward or go to another level. Just another notch in my belt, right? Where you just go, oh, cool, that's nice. It's, again, tap myself on the shoulder and go, good for you, Mona, awesome. But that's it, right? Like, that's it. So yeah, it was good. It was fun. It was surprising, but it was great. It was great. I had a great time. Again, that was another time in my life where I loved it. I had a great time working at the Incubator Studio. I made a lifelong friend with the owner of the Incubator Studio, with Brett Hurd. He is a very, very dear friend of mine. We're like brother and sister. I love him. And I met amazing people there. I met amazing people that we're still in touch. We're still friends. You know, everything elevates your experience, right? And your journey, not only as an actor and as an artist, but as a human being, as a person. So I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that.
Nice. So your latest play that I saw on your Instagram was This Is How We Got Here, which just wrapped on November 9th. Can you tell us a bit about that play?
Yeah. Phenomenal play by Keith Barker. I worked with 3 fantastic actors. It was the first time I had ever been in Thunder Bay, first time I had ever worked at Magnus Theatre. Our director, Tom Curry, was fantastic, and it was a great experience. I loved playing the role of Lucille. She was fragile and struggling with the suicide of her 17-year-old. And you go into flashbacks, and it takes place a year later, and they kind of backtrack throughout the play. And I think the earliest time is like 4 months. You go as far back as 4 months after the event. And it was rich. It was 3-dimensional. It was so fulfilling. It fulfilled my soul as an artist, and I made friendships with amazing people in the cast, and we laughed so much. We laughed every day during rehearsal. We had a great time together. The guys had great chemistry together. Natalie Robitaille and I, who played sisters, had great chemistry together. Natalie and I got really close. I had worked for Natalie actually previously the summer before, because Natalie owns the Bruce County Playhouse in Southampton, and I had worked for her the previous year doing a play called Storm Warning by Norm Foster. And this was the first time that we worked together in this capacity as actors, and it was fantastic. Again, right, another experience that just elevates your journey as an artist, as a person. Like it was fantastic. I loved it. And the funny thing was, we wrapped. Our finale was November 9th, which is my birthday. So my mom and my husband flew out to Thunder Bay on that Saturday, November 9th. And so they saw the final show, and they were there to not only see the final show, but celebrate my birthday. And it was great. We had a great time. And then we flew back together the next day and came home. And it was great. 2019 was a wonderful time for me in terms of theater. I had 3 theater contracts within 6 months. I was away 3 times in 6 months away from home. And the final time was in Thunder Bay. So I was back. I've been home since November 9th. And I've no upcoming theater contracts that I know of, none that are on the table right now. So I plan on being home for a little while before I'm headed off again. But yeah, it was amazing. I really am grateful for the fact that I've got my foot back in the door with theater. I really am grateful for that. That's definitely what I want to be doing more of as I age. I love theater. It was a fantastic experience.
Nice. Well, I just want to say happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
So this is the time when we give you a chance to, if you have any thanks that you'd like to give, and any if you could give us your social media handles, that way others can follow you and keep up with your story.
Sure. Any thanks that I want to give? Thanks. I'm not a public person that way. Like, if I have to thank anybody, I call people or write them or thank them privately. I don't need to publicly display that, and I'm trying to do less of that, to be honest. I've been involved with Facebook posts and all that sort of jazz along the way, like with as everyone else has been. But I'm getting tired of it, so I'm trying to do less of it. And that's kind of my goal for 2020 as well, is that I'm trying to actually pull away from it on more of a personal level than anything else. But my professional Facebook page is just Ramona Milano. You can find that, and there's nothing else to that, right? It's just Ramona Milano on Facebook. That's it. Yeah. And my Instagram, God, I never remember it off the top of my head. Hang on, let me see here. You know what? I don't have a Ramona Milano Instagram. I just have a personal one. So I'd rather, if people want to follow, I'd rather they just do it on Facebook or Twitter. There's Facebook or Twitter. And I'm not super active on them, to be quite honest with you. And I have no intention of becoming more active. Like, that's something I'm actually trying to ramp down. Yeah, thanking. No, I don't have anybody I want to thank publicly.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to do this interview.
Oh, no, thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ramona. And yeah, like I said, it's been such an awesome opportunity just to speak with you today and to do this interview.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you for your interest. I appreciate that. Let me know where I can catch it.
I will. Once we get it all uploaded and everything, I will send you the link on Facebook.
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ramona. Have a great day.
Have a great day. You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.